Hey everybody, Randy Patterson here with Boomerosity, and boy do I have a legend for you. The great guitarist and songwriter and producer, Steve Cropper. If you're not really deep into music and you think the name may sound familiar, well, he started off with Booker T and the MGs from Stax Records, who was the Stax Records house band. They played on all sorts of stuff. Steve also wrote or co-wrote songs like Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. And he was in the Blues Brothers band. He was the guitarist in there. You might see him on the great Blues Brothers performance on Saturday Night Live, among other great shows. How about the Blues Brothers movie at that? So house band for them. And wow, what a fun, storied career Steve has had. He's worked with so many more people. Those are just a couple that I mentioned, but he's got a new album out under Steve Cropper and the Midnight Hour band name. And it's a album full, 13 songs, in fact, of great music. Guests on there are Billy Gibbons of ZZ Top, Brian May of Queen. Wow. And Tim Montana, who I saw him when he opened for ZZ Top the first time I saw him about 3 years ago. All these guys are phenomenal. And I can see why Steve wanted to work with them. And when you hear the songs on this album, you're going to see why he wanted to work with them too. So if you don't mind, when you're done listening to this interview, would you hit like and subscribe if you haven't already? It helps us and it doesn't cost you a thing. And then share the interview with your friends who you think might enjoy an interview like this and ask them to do the same thing. I hope I get to talk to Steve many more times before our lives are over. But until next time, this is Randy Patterson with Boomerosity. Take care. Steve, thanks a million for joining me. I hate that it can't be video, but hey, it is what it is. But before we get started, I want to thank you both for Steve, for taking the time to chat with me and for all the many years of great music. Wow. I mean, it's all over the soundtrack.
It's been a great ride. So. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
And also a mutual friend of ours by the name of Rafe Van Hoy. He says, hi, and that you're his favorite legend and that you and Angel are wonderful people aside from being legends. So I just wanted to pass that on.
He's great. He's something else, Ray or something else.
Yeah. He and I, we send each other inappropriate memes via text a lot of times. So we keep each other laughing.
That's good. So. I saw him not too long ago in the parking lot of RCA. Maybe it's been a year now since I saw him. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably not. But I don't know how long it's been. It's been a while.
Yeah. Well, he's a great guy, and he speaks highly of you. So I just wanted to pass that along. But
same here. Tell him I speak highly of him, too, all the time.
All righty. Will do. Hey, before we talk about the new record, I wanted to ask you how the last one did for you, Fired It Up, because I love that album, and that was...
I did too. It was pretty good. I think this was better, but because it's got Billy on it and Brian May. But anyway, and Tim Montana and Felix, and it's great. It's a good album.
Yep.
So the last one, I tried my damnedest not to have anybody on there because everybody has somebody. And I said, let me do this by myself. So I told John that, my co-producer, and he agreed. This time he said, can I get more people? I said, yeah. So he got Billy and Brian. And Billy he ran into at a store somewhere. I don't know which one it was. It was either Home Depot or a grocery store or Sam's or Costco, one or the other. And he said, so John said, Billy said, what are you working on? He said, nothing right now, but he said, I'm getting ready to do an album on Steve Cropper. And Billy said, can I be on it? You're damn right. So he was on, according to John, he was in on 3 songs. I thought it was 2. But he released 3 songs and he helped write during the writing sessions.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a phenomenal album. And Billy, I mean, I've interviewed him by email a few times. I've never talked to him directly, but right. I mean, kind heart. What I found about him is because first time I saw him, in fact, Tim Montana opened for him in Chattanooga when I first saw ZZ Top. This was after Dusty died. Right. And there was 2 guys sitting in front of me, young guys, barely not kids. And they told the story of running. The one guy said that the one man that got the tickets, he said he'd ran into Billy in a bar, started talking. He was telling Billy his dad was a huge fan of ZZ Top and turned him on to it. And to wind the story up, Billy said, "Hey, are you going to the show?" And the guy said, "No, I couldn't get tickets, whatever, couldn't afford them, whatever." And Billy said, "Hold on a minute." And he takes his phone, calls, hangs up, and says, "You got 2 tickets waiting for you tomorrow night." So that was
Oh,
the night
man,
before the
that's
show.
great.
Yeah,
Sound like Billy.
yeah, he's a great guy. What was it?
Yeah.
I mean, you're used to dealing with people of greatness because you're great yourself. What was the dynamic like with you and Billy and Brian and Tim? And Tim, like I said, I loved his work opening for Billy or for ZZ Top a couple years ago. What was that dynamic like with you working with those guys?
Well, let me tell you about Tim. Okay, we'll start with him.
All right.
He came to a costume party we were having as me. That's when I first met Billy. I mean, Tim, not Billy, but Tim. Billy, I've known him for years because of Memphis. And he started everything in Nashville and finished in Memphis and took it to Houston. All of the ZZ Top stuff. But Tim, I met him. He came at a costume party of mine. And he's asked about that today, and so did I. He came as me. Because he has a beard, and he just came as Steve Cropper. He said, "I'm here as Steve Cropper." Oh, yeah. Well, Steve's in the back. I know that, but I'm here as Steve Cropper. So somebody came back and said, "You got to meet this guy." I said, "Okay, I will." And I went out and met him, said hello, and didn't recognize myself anyway. But I recognized him. He's something else.
Yep.
He played great on this album, too, on one of the tracks.
Yeah, I saw that, and I loved the cut on there. How was it different in working on this album compared to the last album, as well as all the other albums you've been involved with? I'm sure things change from one album to the next, and technology changes and all that. How was Friendly Town different than all the others you've worked on?
Well, here's the difference. This time we were in the studio doing tracks. The last time we couldn't get in the studio together. We weren't allowed because the COVID was on.
Right.
When we did the album. And I told her about the last album. I said, Beth is singing on a song. How did she get to the studio? Well, it's easy. She lives next door to John Tibbin. And John has a studio in his house. That's where we write the songs every Tuesday. So all she had to do was she could stay in her house if she wanted to. All she had to do was walk through her backyard and John's backyard and get on the mic and sing a little bit. This time everything was done at RCAC in the studio. Except Brian's stuff was done. Brian May's stuff was done in England. And so we talked to him, and he sent it back and forth. And, we wound up with that song in second one. That's out now. And doing real good, by the way. That's good news.
Yep. I saw Brian when James Burton did his fundraiser just before the shutdown. It was over at the Skirmerhorn. And I was stunned to see Brian come out, and he and Joe Walsh did something together. Did you play at that fundraiser? Do you remember?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
But I played at the Cotton Bowl in Texas when, what's his name, had a thing. Joe Walsh and I did a thing.
Oh, that's right. Over at Eric Clapton's Crossroads thing, right?
Yeah, that's it. And we were in the video together. So
that's right.
Joe says, "Steve, come on out." Okay. That went out there. My wife said it was great. I don't know. I just put things on automatic and let it go. I look over the first 2 rows of the dollars. And I look sort of in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
So Al Jackson said 100 years ago, he said, "It's not what you're doing that counts, it's what you look like you're doing that counts." This was before jumbotrons and speakers. So the people in the last row couldn't hear what was going on, but it's what you look like you're doing that counted.
That's right.
And he also said another profound thing. He said, we were in a control room one day, listening to playbacks of the week, and I said, "That sounds like a hit right there." And Al said, "Steve." I said, "Yeah." He said, "They're all hits still released." He's probably right about that one, too. Let the fans pick them.
That's right.
The old DJs.
Hey, were there any surprises working on this album? I mean, I'm sure it's hard to surprise a guy like you with all the work you've done, but while you were putting this together,
I think the day that Billy Gibbons showed up at the writing session was a surprise. I wasn't expecting him. And he came down, sat down, and started playing on track, and I said, "Holy crap." So that was him and John's collaboration on Friendly Town. And there's the whole thing. And John sent me a thing this morning. I read it and about how that song was written. And I said, well, I'm right on most of them, but a couple of them I'm wrong about whose idea was whose. So, you know, I always thought the guy that did it was his idea, but not necessarily.
Yeah, gotcha.
And I did all the music. When I say all the music, I did all the chord changes. They're pretty simple. And I said, most musicians, good musicians, think blues is easy. Well, it might be because it only has 3 or 4 changes.
Right.
But the problem is this, putting the right notes in the right place at the right time. That's hard to do.
That's why I'm not a musician.
Do what?
I said, that's why I'm not a musician. I don't know how to do that. So,
well, we were out with Liam Neeson for a while. Not Liam Neeson. We were out with Levon, what's his name? From Canada.
oh,
And he
wow.
said the day that he was called a musician, that was the biggest day of his life. He was called a musician.
Robbie Robertson.
The godfather of grunge.
Yeah. That's why guys like me just interview great guys like you, because we can't come anywhere close to that. So, hey, I know on the album.
They just fall on water or ducks back.
What I know you're not supposed to ask an artist what their favorite song is on an album, so I quit doing that a long time ago. But I do ask, what song do you point to on the album as a calling card for the whole album? Which song would you point to
on this album? On this album, there's always a catch. It's my favorite song on this album.
Which one was that?
There's always a catch. Just when you think you've ahead of the game, there's always a catch. That's the end of it.
Ah, yeah, I love it. Love it. I love the whole album. I can't pick
on the album, but it's way down there.
I gotcha.
I like them all, but
I do too.
You know, Friendly Town I know is good, and so is Too Much Stress is great. And then my song, the one Tomorrow, there's always what is it? Sundown, Here I Come, or something like that. No, what is it? Third song on the album.
Yep. Love that one.
Hello, Sundown. I'm waiting on you. That's it.
If this was vinyl, I'd have already worn out the grooves on it because I love the whole thing. It's phenomenal.
Well, it doesn't come out till the 23rd, so you hadn't had a chance to wear it out yet, even though you might have a CD of it.
Oh, good deal.
And it may come out on vinyl. We don't know, but
well, if it does, I want you to sign it for me. But
okay, hey, you got it. Mail it, and I'll sign it.
you have worked with so many great people. Is there anybody you haven't worked with yet that you'd still like to?
When you say yet, I'm so old it doesn't matter. Most of the guys that I know are past. And the one I'm going to tell you about is past too. She passed away several years. I think Tina Turner is the only artist I ever thought would be I could do something with that I didn't get a chance to.
Yeah.
She was great. She was the oldest rating of women's singers,
yep.
I think.
I agree. Did you ever do any work with Elvis?
She got real big. She was drawing over 100,000 people a show.
Absolutely.
And so when she went down to Brazil, people were coming out of the jungle to see her, to see Tina. Cool. Yep. And she lived in Germany for a long time, and Dome, Germany, Dome. But they have a beer there. But she lived in Cologne, I think, for a while.
Yep. Yeah, it was a tragic loss when she passed away. That's for sure.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah,
I did get to see her one time in Cherokee. She was doing Thunderball or one of those movies, one of those Mad Max movies. That's it. We don't need another hero.
Yep. I
ran into her in the hall. She didn't know who I was. She's not supposed to know who I am. I didn't tell her either. She didn't ask, so I didn't tell her. It is what it is. And I think she said close to the same thing I've said. As an artist, I know I can do something with, but I never did a chance. So Tony, a friend of mine, Tony Joe White, he worked with her. He did the Steamy Windows, I think, with her, and he's passed too.
Wow.
Him, Doug, everybody's gone. Yeah. Al's been gone. So there's 2 guys left out of my high school band, Don Nix and myself. Well, you know who Don Nix is. He had Alabama State Troopers at one time.
Yep.
And Mad Dogs, and he was there for Mad Dogs. And I didn't see that concert, but he was there for it. And I called Booker. I didn't call Booker. I talked to Booker several years ago. I said, if we went on the road now, I'd be Booker T and the MG, not the MGs. They're all deceased. Booker. Holy
Just one
mackerel.
MG.
We couldn't put that band back together if we wanted to. We didn't have her.
It'd be kind of scary if you did, you know.
Yeah. If
Did
we
you
put,
ever, being from
that's what I
Memphis,
put the Beatles. Can you put the Beatles right together? Not the way they are now. We can.
being from Memphis, did you ever meet or work with Elvis at all?
I did. I didn't work with him, but I met him a couple times. I knew him. I went to the house. I went to some of the movies
Mm-hmm.
and the amusement park with him.
Oh, yeah.
But I never did know Elvis. They said, "Can you tell something funny?" I said, "Well, I only remember one thing that's kind of funny. We waited on him for an hour to come downstairs. He finally came down. So he said, 'I'll see you guys at the Memphis later.' And so he jumps in his car with his girlfriend, and the car won't start. He just took possession of it that afternoon. So he went back. He said, 'Honey, you sit right there.' He went back inside, got his 44 bag, come back and emptied it into the engine block."
Oh, man.
So he was a little late getting to the theater, too. They said, "Elvis, we've been waiting on you. Why are you so late?" And he said, "Well, they ain't told that story." So I think Dirty Harry in the Dirty Harry movie, he said, "You know, this will shoot through an engine block." So Elvis proved it. He emptied a 44 bag into an engine block. He didn't have to shoot but once, but he emptied the whole 6 shots, I guess.
Oh, my goodness. Phew. Man, a lot. Well, you can afford to do so, I guess. I mean, I can't afford to change out like that.
And so they asked me about John Belushi. I said he was a lot like Elvis. He was always giving shit away. And so Bernie Brillstein, his manager, said to Duck and I one day, we're sitting in Bernie's office. He said, "I spend more time trying to keep up with John from the night before that he's giving us away, giving a house away, a car away, this away, than I do managing John." Really, that's what Bernie said. Bernie was a great guy. We miss him too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. What, speaking of all that, what are the best and worst changes you've seen in the music business?
The best and worst. That's a good question. The best and the worst. Well, I think I left technology, and we were talking about that earlier about technology is great. Yeah, if you use it properly.
Right.
So about technology, I think the kids today are born with technology in their brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, I know you're on a tight schedule and I want to respect your time. I'll ask you one more question. What's next and for the rest of the year and going into next year? What you got going on? Are you going on tour or anything?
Well, nothing. I just roll with the flow. So if there's a tour, I'll do that one. I did 2 with the Animals while the Blues Brothers were on the hiatus a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So they all went on vacation. I sort of went with the Animals. I did 2 tours with the English Animals, not the ones in America.
Right.
Not James Burton's Animals.
Right.
You said James Burton earlier. James Burton is with the Animals over here. He had War. And,
you're thinking of Eric Burden. Eric Burden. Yeah. Yeah.
Eric. Yeah, not James Burton. James Burton at Shimmerhorn that's where I met Brian May for the first time.
Ah, yeah. That was a fun
so
night.
There you go.
Night.
So we've known each other too, but he and John been friends like Duck and I were friends for years. I don't know how long, but I know where Duck and I met. We met on a softball game at Sherwood in 6th grade. He came up from South Memphis, and I was already living in Memphis, in East Memphis.
Gotcha.
So he came up from South Memphis, and I went to Graham for 6 years, half a year, and the rest of it I spent the other half. That was in the 4th grade, though. 6th grade, we were already established at Sherwood.
Mm-hmm.
So Duck spent 6, 7, and 8 at Sherwood, and the rest of it, we graduated together.
My goodness. Wow.
Magic High School, 4 years together. So we spent 7 years together at school, buddies.
How nice. How nice. Well, Steve, this has been a pleasure. It's been an honor. And sometime I'd like to, we talked mostly about this album, but sometime I'd like to talk to you about your whole career and just take some time and maybe
get Sax and Blues Brothers in there. You got it.
Yeah. Oh boy,
right.
that's
the main thing right now is this album, the new album. Friendly Town is the new album, the name of the new album.
That's right. I've already been plugging it on my personal social media, and I'll do it when this interview posts. And but let's talk again soon about your career. It'd be an honor to cover that with you. It would be a lot of fun to hear your stories on that. All right, we'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
This show was edited and produced by Mike McClellan. The original music, Roll the Dice, was written and produced by Quentin Hope, and Randy Patterson was your host and executive producer.